Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey here with the latest on the Dallas Cowboys, and we're going to begin today with some updates on Zeke Elliott. To the surprise of really nobody, Ezekiel Elliott is expected to return to the Cowboys in 2022. I guess we haven't said, oh yeah, he's back for sure, but the comment's always been like, well, yeah, of course he's going to be back because, well, what other options do you have? This really should not be a surprise. It was mentioned briefly in the lead-up on NFL Network Super Bowl coverage on Sunday that Zeke is expected to return. That, again, should not be a surprise. We knew this going into the year that, yeah, he's probably going to be back this upcoming year unless you can get, I'm going to be honest, lucky and find someone to take on his contract. Now, that contract is a problem for Dallas, and it's also why he's going to be back as the Cowboys, in theory, lead back. $18.22 million cap hit, a massive figure, which is in part so high because the Cowboys have kept that cap hit low in the previous 3 years. It was like around $8 million per year. That's not that bad. 18's a lot. Here's your problem. You cut him right now, you incur an additional $11+ million on the cap. You ain't going to pay $30 million for him to not be on your team. You cut him after June 1st, it would be a Jalen Smith scenario. You save $0 by cutting him because his base salary this year is already guaranteed. And at that point, maybe you're just better off keeping him on the roster. Because his base salary this year is guaranteed, you could trade him. And if you trade him after June 1st, you save $12.5 million, but then you're not getting a pick back this year. You save next to nothing. You would actually lose money because you have to pay somebody more than that figure to get him on your roster. All that adds up to, you're kind of going to eat that bad contract for a year. Because, again, even if you could trade Zeke post-June 1st, who wants him? Who's going to take on Zeke at $12.4 million this upcoming year? That's still a top 5 cap hit at the running back position. And as we'll get into later on, his numbers have not been great. Who wants that contract? The joke in the office has been, well, call Houston. Yes, of course. Here's the problem. If your plan is banking on another team being stupid, I think you'll end up being a little bit disappointed. So I think you're stuck, more or less, with Zeke for this upcoming year. How do you feel about that? Do you want Zeke on the Cowboys? You can be honest. They save space to vent. I know we're all still kind of in the post-Super Bowl blues a little bit here. Do you want Zeke on the Cowboys? Why for yes and for no? Let me know how you feel in the comments section. The answer is, well, it depends on which Zeke you get. 2018, 2019, Zeke still a pretty good football player, successful, productive, etc. The past 2 years, the average has dipped below the ideal threshold from that perspective. Touchdowns have always been great, but he got to 1,000 yards. Cool. We'll call it 4.1 yards per carry. It's not very good. It's just not. Yeah, I want to see more Tony Pollard. That is what I would like to do here if I were the Dallas Cowboys in terms of being in a situation where they can acquire help and utilize their running backs in a better position here moving forward. So that's the route I would go. Give Pollard more reps. I wonder how much longer Zeke will be on that team. Is this Zeke's last year on the Cowboys? Type in 1 for yes or type in 2 for no. Let me know what you guys have to say right now in the comments section. It is Valentine's Day, and if you didn't get anything for your significant other, oh boy, or girl, you messed up big time. Time to start correcting that, and this is part of what you can give him or her this Valentine's Day. How about some Cowboys gear? A combo pack, by the way, of sleepwear. They don't have the Cowboys-themed special stuff, but this works pretty well as well for him or her. I would assume you all know what I mean by the special stuff, but this is a fantastic deal. 20% off and free shipping when you go to chatsports.com/CowboysPJ. You can get the top and the bottom in Cowboys gear and begin your apology tour for forgetting Valentine's Day this year. Let's talk defensive ends now. Could the Cowboys keep only one of DeMarcus Lawrence or Randy Gregory, a talking point mentioned by the Dallas Morning News? Now, I want to make note at the top here, as I will make consistently throughout the offseason. If you really want to, you can keep both guys. You absolutely could. The Cowboys, though, might not, probably won't want to in the end. Lawrence is a $27 million cap hit this year. That's anti-cost prohibitive, or I guess just cost prohibitive for the Cowboys. $8 million if you cut him right now, $19 million after June 1st, but you can't spend that $19 million until after 6/1. So again, kind of an awkward situation there. But the Cowboys would like to keep Gregory as well. And I will make note, despite it does not feel like it, but Randy Gregory is actually only 7 months younger than DeMarcus Lawrence. They're both 29 years old, turning older than that in a couple months. Lawrence, of course, will turn it first, or turning 30 in a couple months. So it's a tricky conversation here because Lawrence is under contract, but for more than you want. Gregory's is not under contract, but how much could he command on the open market? It's a good conversation, I think, to have if you're only going to keep one. Gregory is stuck by the Cowboys, and the Cowboys stuck by Gregory, and I would imagine would probably be cheaper than DeMarcus Lawrence. But the numbers, they're not that different, despite Tank playing 5 fewer games in the regular season this year. The pressure rate, both of them really good. Anything above 12%, you're having a really good season. The numbers didn't only translate to sacks, but that's because Micah Parsons was a god, apparently. And they got pressures, too. Interceptions, pass breakups, all favor DeMarcus Lawrence, and he still is one of the best run-stopping defensive ends in the NFL. Purely from a player perspective, I value DeMarcus Lawrence more than Randy Gregory. But you have to factor in the contract in this situation. Lawrence could save you quite a bit of money by cutting him. What if Gregory wants to sign a 3-year, $33-ish million deal? That could intrigue the Cowboys at that point if it's hypothetically, and that's just a random number I threw out there, 11. We'll call it half, more or less, of the Tank contract. That's valuable to Dallas. So pick one of these two to keep for me. Type DL for DeMarcus Lawrence or type in RG for Randy Gregory. Let me know what you guys have to say. You got to pick one in the comments section. Now, Lawrence's last 4 years, look, the sack numbers have not been very good. There's no way around that. Injuries a factor in 2021. 2019 just didn't get home despite getting good pressures. 2020, well, the defense being cheeks was a bit of a problem on that one. But those are all just excuses when it's a 3-year trend, and you're not paying Lawrence $20+ million to get you a half dozen sacks each year. But he is still an elite run defender. Gregory, not nearly as good against the run, but did come off a 6-sack season this past year, and the tackles have always been okay. I like him, and the Cowboys have stuck by him, and that makes me think there could be something resembling a team-friendly contract this year, depending on what the open market looks like. But if you lose one of these guys, edge remains one of your biggest needs because, although you could just make Micah Parsons a full-time pass rusher, I'd be okay with that. That opens up a big-time need at linebacker all of a sudden, which is okay. That's a path I'm okay with having to go down. Having is maybe a nice word for it there. Because Dorrance Armstrong, and that leaves Terrell Basham, Chauncey Golston. Not a great grouping right there. So edge is a big-time focal point for the Cowboys once again this offseason. We are close, less than 70 away to 124,000 subscribers. I'm still trying to double up the Washington Commies, their actual YouTube channel. So if you want us to do that, hit that big red button and subscribe. In exchange, you guys get free Cowboys videos every single day. What about door number 3 when it comes to the edge rusher spot? Von Miller. And the rumors are always going to be hot. That's just how things end up going with the Cowboys. And remember, Von is from Dallas. He's coming home. And as you know, all the agents know, link your player to Dallas and you might boost your stock or at least get him talked about just a little bit more. I would expect these rumors, or at least these theories, ideas, to reach a bit of a fever pitch in the month until free agency really begins, because he's now a free agent. He won another Super Bowl. Maybe it's time for Von to come home. I get all that. I do wonder what the money looks like here. Von Miller, 9.5 sack season this year. By the way, some of his best run defense, I thought, in a while. I think helping or playing across from Aaron Donald or with Aaron Donald helps him in that area. And a really good run defense overall in L.A. His numbers were awesome. I just question whether or not the Cowboys will spend. I want them to. They absolutely can. Don't let Stephen Jones and the water carriers out there tell you otherwise. They can spend if they want to. I just question if they actually finally will. So be honest with me in the comments section for this next question. What is the % chance that the Dallas Cowboys go out and sign Von Miller. And that, of course, depends on what happens with, DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory. Let me know in the comments section. Before we go, I wanted to discuss some Super Bowl 56 takeaways. And my number one is this: no cowards allowed. A mantra I've said before, so some of this is, yes, me confirming my priors here. The Rams were aggressive, ultra so. Now, you don't have to be anywhere near as aggressive as the Rams were. You're a good drafting team. I'm okay keeping those draft picks and continuing to build that way. But you have to be a little bit more aggressive. You have to put some more chips on the table. The Cowboys for years now have just been checking when they're playing poker and they're bleeding out their hands. At some point, you got to push some chips in there, guys. Even the Bengals spent in free agency. Now, they did not draft well, so they had money to spend. I get all that. The core problem, I believe, with this Cowboys organization is they lack urgency. They are not desperate. And that's what happens when you have ownership, namely Stephen Jones, who, I'll be here for another 30 years. I got to keep my window open for as long as humanly possible, which I get. But at some point, and I think you've had windows in recent years, still have one the next couple years, be a little bit more aggressive. Do more of the Robert Quinn trades. That trade was awesome for Dallas. You don't have to go full Amari Cooper, LA Rams, straight away all of your first-round picks, but restructure some contracts. Create some more space. Sign somebody. They paid big money to Brandon Carr. You know what? They actually got decent play out of it. Be more aggressive. Yeah, Carr was not elite, but he was always out there. He played fine for you, and it didn't screw your salary cap. Dallas needs more urgency. The problem? I don't trust them to show it. I don't trust this organization to be just a little bit more aggressive, show the urgency, and go sign a player. You could have had Tyrann Mathieu on the cheap a few years ago. Didn't even pick up the phone. You've got to be just a little bit more aggressive in the offseason to better your chances in the postseason.